Google Analytics is an essential tool for anyone looking to measure website traffic, performance, and visitor behavior. Now, recently, Google announced Google Analytics 4, which has deeper integrations, analytics, cross-device analytics, and more to help you get a better understanding of your online performance. Hey team, Stewart here, welcome back. I hope everyone is doing well. Now today we're going to launch into a Google Analytics 4 tutorial for beginners. This is an easy to follow walkthrough that will help you get started with Google Analytics in 2021. Now, if you haven't already installed Google Analytics on your website, then feel free to check out our tutorials on how you can simply install Google Analytics on WordPress or Shopify. You can find those tutorials in the description below this video. Okay, now before we dive into Google Analytics 4, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already or if you're new to this channel, and that way you'll stay updated with actionable videos and tutorials designed to equip you with the skills, knowledge, and tools to grow your small business online. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get you up and running with Google Analytics 4. Okay, so to arrive at your Google Analytics dashboard, simply type in analytics.google.com in your browser, and that's going to take you to Google Analytics. Now, if you don't see your current property selected in the top left-hand corner, then simply navigate up here and click, then come down and select your account, and then the property that's associated with that account. Now, like I mentioned at the beginning of this tutorial, if you haven't yet installed and connected Google Analytics with your website, then feel free to watch our beginners tutorial that we've linked in our description below this video that will show you how to install Google Analytics on WordPress and Shopify. However, if you've already installed Google Analytics 4, then your Google Analytics dashboard should look like this. Now, if your dashboard does not look like this, then that could mean that you're using an older version of Google Analytics. Most likely you're using the Universal Analytics. For example, we have that installed on one of our other websites. So what I'm going to do is head over to that account, that property that has Universal Analytics installed, and show you what that looks like by simply navigating up onto the top left under all accounts, and then I'm going to come down and select this account and then the associated property that's connected to my website. And with Universal Analytics, you'll see your view types on the far right hand side. So what I'm going to do is click Master View, and this is what your Universal Analytics dashboard will look like if you're using Universal Analytics and not Google Analytics 4. However, if you're getting started with Google Analytics today, Google Analytics is pushing for you to get started with Google Analytics 4 rather than Universal Analytics, which is just the older version. So what we're going to do is head back to the newer version on one of our accounts. We're going to select this account and then select this property. And this is the Google Analytics 4 account that we're going to use in today's tutorial. Now, the whole idea and focus of Google Analytics 4 is the cross-platform approach, the cross-platform analytics. Basically, what this means is you can measure more complex analytics across platforms, for example, apps and websites. However, the great thing about Google Analytics 4 compared to the older Universal Analytics is the more dynamic and user-friendly interface. And so what we're going to do is cover all the basic metrics that you need to understand to really get started and make the most of Google Analytics. Okay, so today what we're going to do is cover the home overview, and then we're going to navigate over to the left-hand side and cover some important metrics that are going to help you understand your online performance. Okay, so if you haven't done so already, navigate up to Home, select here, and that's going to take you to your home overview. Now on your home overview, this is a snapshot of everything that's happening on your website. So on the left hand side, you can see these important metrics. Basically on your home, you have a snapshot of those metrics. Now as a beginner, you're going to spend the majority of your time on your home dashboard. So the first element that we can see, the first snapshot, is your users. You can see that users is selected. Down here you can see the number of users that visited your website over a given period of time, and you can see each day the number of users. Down here you can change the period if you like. At the moment we have last 7 days selected. We can come down and select today, yesterday, last 28 days, last 90 days, or we can create a custom period. and that will give you a snapshot of what is happening on your website in terms of the users. So you can see over the last 7 days, we've had 89 users. That's a 3.5% increase from the last week. And next to users, we have new users. This is self-explanatory. Basically, over this period, we've had 77 new users. Only a few of those users have returned. Then next to new users, we have average engagement time. So how long people are engaging on our website. The average is 1 minute 19 seconds, and you can see that is down from the last 7 days. Next to that, we have total revenue. This is important if you sell products on your website. Now for today's example, this is a local business website, so we don't sell products online. They are a service-based business. So we're not going to have any revenue figures for this Google Analytics overview. Then next to users, we have real time. This is where you can view your users, your website visitors in real time. You can see that in the last 30 minutes, we had 1 user, and you can see that they are from New Zealand. We can also come down here and click view real time, and that's going to bring up more in-depth analytics in regards to real-time visitors. And we're going to dive into this shortly when we navigate over to the left-hand side. Then if we scroll down our home overview, you can see insights. Now Google Analytics 4 is pushing and focusing on machine learning. So these are automated insights that you can look at to essentially gauge your online performance. You can come down here and click view all insights to see all your insights. Then next to insights, we have new users by user medium. And basically when you see medium, think about where do your new users come from. So the medium is where your visitors are coming from. Down here you can see that the majority of our visitors are coming from organic traffic. So this could be people searching for specific keywords related to our business and finding our business, our website, on Google search. Below that we have CPC. This is cost per click, so PPC advertising. We are using Google Ads for this particular website. So basically what we're doing is driving organic traffic and paid traffic to our website. Then below that we've got none, and then referral, so coming from a different external website. And again, we can come down here and change the period. We're going to leave it as 7 days. Next to that, we have view user acquisition. So this is all about your visitor acquisition. Where are your customers? Where are your visitors coming from to arrive at your website? And again, we're going to dive into that shortly under lifecycle and acquisition. Then below this section, if we scroll down, you can see what are your top campaigns. And this is all about your sessions. So a session medium is, again, where are your customers, your visitors coming from and landing on your website, and how many sessions per medium. So think about sessions as multiple visits to your website. The same user can visit your website multiple times during a specific period. In this case, the last 7 days. So for example, up here below session medium and next to organic, you can see that over the last 7 days, we've had 62 sessions. Now that's not 62 users. That could only be maybe 30 users, but people have come back at least 2 times. So remember, sessions are counted every time a user comes back to your website. Then over on the right hand side, we have where are your users visiting from. Down here we've got users selected by country. So down here you can see a visual overview of where your visitors are coming from, and then you can see a snapshot of your top users by country. Again, you can come down here and view more information in regards to the countries, and then over here you can change the period if you like. Now below this we have how are active users trending. Now this is great to see. Let's say for example, if we come down to 90 days, we can see the overall trend of that activity. So over the last 3 months, you can see that there's been a slight decline in traffic. Now that means it could be because of the season, or it could be to do with other factors. It could be factors to do with your website. This really depends on the nature of your business, but this gives you an idea of how your website is performing over time. Then next to this we have how well do you retain your users. This is user activity by cohort. Now this is more advanced. We're not going to cover this in today's beginners tutorial. Then below this we have which pages and screens get the most views. And down here you can see a basic overview of your most popular pages on your website. As you can see, our homepage is the most popular. Again, you can change the period down here and you can see the number of views and the percentage change. Next to this, we have what are your top events. Now with Google Analytics 4, events are more sophisticated than in Universal Analytics, which is really cool. Basically, an event can be anything that happens on your website or your app. For example, down here you can see the event name, page view. You can see how many events we've had over the last 7 days. User engagement, session start, first visit, scrolling down the page, clicking on an item. These are events that our visitors on our website do when they land on our website. And then we can see more events over here. Again, we're going to discuss this briefly when we navigate over to the left hand side. And then we also, next to that, we have what are your top conversions. And this is all about specific conversions that you set up on your website. Again, we're going to talk about this shortly. Okay, so if we scroll back up to the top, we've just covered our home Google Analytics dashboard. What we want to do now is navigate over to real time. Now remember, each of these elements on the left hand side, you can simply navigate over to the snapshot here, or we can head over to the left hand side and click real time. And under real-time overview, this is where you can see what's currently happening on your website in real time. As you can see, we've got one user in the last 30 minutes. They're coming from mobile. Down here, you can see users by user source. So this is where they're coming from. Over here, we've got all users by audience. And then next to that, we have views by page title and screen name. So this just shows you the page that that current user is on. However, we don't currently have any visitors on our website right now. So this is great for capturing what's happening on your website in real time. Then if we navigate back to the left hand side and under life cycle, we have acquisition. Click on acquisition and then come down and select overview. And under acquisition overview, we briefly mentioned this on our home dashboard. You can see your users, your new users. If we scroll down, you can see users in last 30 minutes. Below this, we have new users by user medium. Again, we briefly discussed this information in terms of where visitors are coming from. Then we have session medium, again, where sessions are coming from. Then over here, we have sessions by campaign. Now this shows our current campaign. We're driving paid traffic to this website. What you can do is connect Google Ads with your Google Analytics account, and that's going to import analytics from Google Ads, and that's going to allow you to import important data from either Google Analytics to Google Ads or from Google Ads to Google Analytics, and we'll talk more about that briefly later down the track. Then below that we have lifetime value. Again, this is important if you sell products online. Now, if you want a more in-depth look of your user acquisition, you can simply navigate over to user acquisition or traffic acquisition. However, for beginners, this acquisition overview is sufficient enough to gather the information you need when you're monitoring your website. Then below acquisition, we have engagement. If we select engagement and then select overview, and this will show you your user engagement on your website or application. For example, over here we've got average engagement time, so that's 1 minute 32 seconds. That's the average engagement of users on our website. So that's them looking through our website, scrolling through our website, clicking on different areas of our website, or navigating through to different pages. Then we've got engage sessions per user, and then average engagement time per session. Again, we can navigate up here and change the period if we like. So just come down and select the default periods up here, or come down and click custom. Now you can also compare periods. So for example, if we wanted to see the last 28 days, and then we wanted to compare with 28 days 1 year ago, then we can come down and select compare, and then go ahead and compare those dates. However, we're going to leave it as 28 days and click apply. Then below this, if we scroll down, we can see views and event count. Now remember, events are particular actions that users do on our website. That could be scrolling, clicking, navigating through to different pages. These are all events. Now if we navigate over here, you can see the event name, page view, user engagement, session start, first visit, scroll and click. These are all events, and you can see the number of events. Then if we scroll past views and events, we have views by page title and screen class. So again, our top pages based on the amount of views during this specific period. Then over here, we have user activity over time. We've mentioned this. Then below that, we've got user stickiness. And this is not important for those just getting started with Google Analytics. So what we can do now is navigate over to monetization. Now, if you want more in-depth information about events and pages and screens, you can go ahead and navigate through those, and that's going to give you more in-depth look into this engagement overview. Now what we want to do is head over to monetization and then navigate up to monetization overview. Again, monetization is not important for this website because this is a service-based website. We do not sell any products online. However, if you were selling products online, then this is where you can see your total revenue, e-commerce revenue, total ad revenue. Now, ad revenue is if you had ads embedded on your website, you would generate AdSense, ad revenue. However, again, because this is a local business, they do not have ads on their website. They are purely a small service-based business. And again, you can see more in-depth information in terms of your e-commerce purchases, in-app purchases if you're using an app. Remember, Google Analytics 4 is a cross-platform analytical tool that allows you to measure the performance across platforms. So this is if you had an app, you could measure those app purchases. Then we have publisher ads. Again, like I mentioned, that is your ad revenue if you had ads displayed on your website. Then below this, we have retention. Select retention and then click overview. Now, user retention can get quite complicated when we start talking about cohort. So what we're going to do is leave this for a more advanced tutorial in the near future. So what we want to do is now navigate over to users, and under users select demographics and then select overview. This is where you can see an overview of your demographics. Down here again we have a snapshot of the country, so users per country over this particular period of time. Again, you can change this or compare month on month or year on year, or you can create a custom period. We're going to leave that as it is. On the left again we have users in the last 30 minutes. Down here we have users by city. So this is a broken down demographic observation that could be important, especially if you're a local business. So you can see that our top city is Auckland, following that is Tauranga. Next to that we have users by gender, and then we have users by interest. Again, this is more advanced. We're not going to discuss gender and interest and audience targeting in this tutorial. Then if we scroll down, we've got by age and then by language. With each of these reports, you can generate a more in-depth look into the metrics that are important to you. But as a beginner, the overview is going to be sufficient enough for you to understand what's happening on your website. Then if we navigate over to tech and then click overview, and under tech overview, this is where you can basically see where your visitors, your users, are coming from based on the device and the operating system. So at the moment, we've got 100% of our users coming from the internet, the web. Then over here, users in the last 30 minutes, we've had 1. Below this, you can see some important analytics regarding the operating system. So you can see that the top operating system for us in terms of where our visitors are viewing our website from is iOS. Then we have Android, Windows, Macintosh, and others. Then over here, we've got by platform and device category. So if we come down here, you can see the platform, the internet, and then device category. Over here, we've got mobile. So web, 100% of our users are coming from the web. However, the majority of our users are coming from mobile. Then we have desktop and then tablet. So this just shows that the majority of our users are visiting our website on mobile. This would tell us that we need to make sure that our website is mobile responsive, as the majority of our visitors, our users, are visiting our website from mobile. Then below this, we have users by browser. Our top browser that our users are coming from is Chrome, Safari, then Edge. And again, we have device category. The majority of our users, 54.9%, are coming from mobile. Only 19 users, which is 6%, coming from tablet over the last 30 days. Then below this, we have screen resolution, and then we have app version if you're monitoring your app's performance. Below this, we have more information related to your app, latest app release overview, app stability overview, and then down here we've got users by device model. So down here we've got device model iPhone, then Chrome, Safari, Edge. So these are the top most popular devices that people are using to view our website. Then below tech we have events. If we navigate over to conversions, and then under conversions we have important conversions that you can monitor under conversions. You can also go ahead and create a new conversion event. However, today we're not going to discuss too much about conversions. This is something for a more advanced tutorial that will release in the next coming weeks. Below conversions we have events. If we select events, again this is all about the event engagement on your website or app. Now we can navigate up here and change the date range if we like, and then below this we can see some basic analytics about these specific events. We can also go ahead and modify an event, or we can create a new important event. For example, if you can't see an event here that's important to you, it could be when someone submits a booking form. That could be an important event that you want to measure. So go ahead and create a new event. Again, today we're not going to talk too much about this. We'll talk about this in a more advanced tutorial in the near future. So navigate down to explore and click explore, and then come down and click explorations. And the great thing with Google Analytics 4 is you can generate your own custom reports based on what's important to you. For example, you can navigate up to blank, or you can select from a pre-made template. We can also navigate down to template gallery and select a reporting template that you want to use. What we're going to do is select blank, and over here you can see we have a blank report. Now on the left hand side we can simply drag each of these segments, dimensions and metrics over to here to create our report. For example, if we want to see the paid traffic, we can drag this over to segment comparisons, and then we could compare this with direct traffic. So we're going to drag and drop direct traffic, and then maybe I want to measure mobile traffic, so I could drag that and place that down here. So now under segments I've got paid traffic, direct traffic and mobile traffic. You can see I have that up here: mobile traffic, paid traffic and direct traffic. Now down here under rows, what I could do is drag a dimension. For example, I could go country and drag that down to rows. And then under rows, you can see that we now have our countries, our top 4 countries selected for each of these 3 traffic sources. And you can go ahead and drag others if you want. For example, device category, I could drag that and place that under country, under rows. And that's going to generate device category as well as the country. So I hope that makes sense. Basically what you can do is generate your own custom reports, and then you can easily download those into different formats. However, that is a brief overview of reporting. What we'll do is dive deeper into reports and exploration activity in our more advanced tutorial. So if we navigate back down to the left hand side and we expand our sidebar and then come down to configure. Now what we want to do is come down and select admin. And this is the last important section that we want to cover in today's beginners tutorial. Basically up here you can see we have the account, and then under the account we have the property selected. Now if you haven't already installed Google Analytics onto your website, then what you would do is come down to data streams and then select the data stream that you created. And depending on what CMS, content management system, website builder, platform that you use to build your website, what you'd want to do is take the measurement ID and then come down and either take the global site tag or use Google Tag Manager. And this is the information you would use to connect Google Analytics with your website. So if we exit out of this one and then navigate back down here. Then the last feature that we want to quickly discuss is the property user management. Basically, you can connect other people to your account to help you manage your Google Analytics and review your performance. Or if you have a web developer, you'll want to connect them through the property user management. So this is there if you need to connect an external user to your Google Analytics account. Okay, so what we're going to do is navigate back up to home. And that is everything we wanted to cover in today's beginner's tutorial to help you learn Google Analytics, understand the information, the data, the analytics, so that you can get started with Google Analytics in 2021 and start measuring your website's performance. And there we have it, guys. That is it for today's complete Google Analytics 4 tutorial for beginners. Now, if you have any questions about this Google Analytics tutorial, make sure to pop them down below. And with that said, thank you so much for watching this tutorial all the way through to the end. If you got value, make sure you leave a like below this video, subscribe to the channel, and that way I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.